All right. In this video recording, what I would like to speak about is... Yeah, alright. Or maybe... I actually said I didn't want to do any PiPoMGa ones anymore. But let's do it. What is DIY? Well, DIY is a mentality. And when you translate it, it says, do it yourself. That means when you have a problem and you live with a DIY mentality, then you solve it yourself. That means when you have problems with your back, you can go to a doctor, a professional salesman or something, and then he may say to you, yeah, at the age of 30, you need surgery. And gullible as you are, you say, oh really? That's so bad. But it's a solution. Yeah. And then they cut you open. They do whatever they do, because they like cutting people open. So yeah, sure, you need a kind of a sadistic tendency if you want to be a surgeon. And of course, you always have to also see that there is money involved. And I have had the personal experience of going to a doctor and saying to the doctor, I have back problems. And it originated from a working accident, but it's not, that was just the tip of the iceberg. But the real iceberg was I was sitting too much. Right, I was masturbating too often, my diet was terrible, I had no idea what physical strength actually meant. And that was me at the age of 24, where I should be young and flexible, but I was stiff. Because I sat too much and I slouched too much. I just wanted to chill all the time. And one reason I wanted to chill all the time was not because I didn't like doing things. It was because every time I wanted to do something, somebody else came and said, you should do it different, or that's not how you do it. Or they would just barge in, push me to the side and do it themselves. And that's people I can name, that's like people who think they're my father, although they never acted as a father would. Because a father should support the children and not use them to make himself feel better. So the man who thinks he's my father is actually somebody stuck in his teenage years. And that's where he wants to get back to, but he just doesn't manage. So he's just stuck in his trauma. And how can such a man be a father if you are stuck in your trauma? So you have to find a way to work yourself out of your trauma. And when you manage that, then you can have children. Right? So there should be a time in your life where you say, right, maybe you're in the position you are already a father or a mother, or you think you are, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. You're in the position of having, you feel like you have to take care of a child. You don't have to do anything, but you actually want to take care of a child because you said, I want to have sex, or maybe you didn't even say that, you just had it. And suddenly you had children. And then you realized, oh wow, well, children do bring a lot of responsibility. Now I never learned to take responsibility for myself, Because I always let other people make decisions for me. I let the doctors decide what is good for me. I let the state decide what is good for me. I let my parents and wives or husbands or girlfriends or boyfriends or friends in general decide what is good for me. I never actually did what I wanted to do. So what I can tell you is that at one point I simply started to say no to all these naysayers who always say no to me. I just started saying no to them. And I just said, screw you, man, you know? I didn't even have to say that. I just said no, and I stayed silent, and they shat their pants. And that's who they really are, scared little children. And they run around and they act like they have it all figured out. And when you come along and you say, well, to be honest, sometimes I don't know what's going on. Because sometimes it's just all a little too much. And then people start looking down on you. But I say that is taking care of myself. That is also DIY. I do it myself. I went to the doctor and I said my back is hurting, and he did some kind of X-ray and he said, yeah, that's your problem. He never even asked me anything about how I feel. He just said, this is what you have. You need to come every 6 months and have an injection, and that will cost you 60 euros. And then I said, well, can't you give me exercises? And he literally said, they don't work. So he wanted me to come back every 6 months to get an injection. So what should I, as somebody who comes there, as somebody who is asking for help, think of this? Other than he is only interested in making money, which is the truth. So when I realized that, I said, you know, screw all of these doctors. I'm gonna take care of myself. I'm gonna do it myself. And it took me since 2000 and I think it was 16 that I really started to say, now I'm gonna do something. It took me until 2023 to get to a point where I can say, you know, I actually see the improvements. It's not that my back is completely healed, but it's that I know what to do when I have back pain to alleviate it. I know what exercises to do. Sometimes I'm still too lazy to do them, but I know which exercises to do. So I don't only go around and tell people, you should do this. No, I do it myself. And that's the whole point of DIY. You're doing it yourself. So now, sure, the man who thinks he's my father, although I think sometimes I'm more a father to him in certain ways, which is weird, but that's spirituality for you. There is no age, there's just development or stage or consciousness, right? Because my father is a very unconscious man. He may do some things, but they're all unconscious. What I do is mostly conscious, because I work hard to be conscious of all of these things. He's unconscious, and he wants to remain unconscious. Because if you were to say, I will take care of everything that I tried to blend out until now, you would have to face the consequences that manifested as a part of your choices until now, which is, I always put money first for my dad, right? He always put money first. It's like, I need to earn as much money as I can. And he broke his back for that. Day in and day out, he sits behind his desk and his posture is horrendous. And then he goes around and he feels terrible and he lets it out on other people. Which means, yeah, I don't really feel inclined to spend a lot of time with you because you do not do it yourself anymore. You pay others to do it for you. right? Instead of, there's some kind of works that have been done around the house where they live, where they pay others to do it, where I would say, why do I have to sit around and watch TV in the evening? I could just set up the new floor by myself. Right? I mean, there are certain things which I would just do. Learn and grow with it instead of paying others to do it. That's how I see it. So, do it yourself means if you feel bad, you do something about it. So my father, or the man, I really want to distance myself from the idea that he's my father because I feel like he isn't. Right? But this man, he came and said, I can pay you an apartment. Because he wanted to get rid of me. You know what a father would have done? I don't know what a father would have done. Maybe that is what a father would have done. But I actually don't think so. Because he literally, my whole family at times feels intimidated by me. Because I stand emotionally on my own 2 feet, which is something they all cannot do. I can say, all right, financially, I have my own issues. Because that's something I don't really understand. All this running after money. If I want to do a job, I don't pick a job that gets me the most money. I pick a job that I like. So this is part of my job. I like it, right? And then I may work at the boulder hall, but I don't really care how much I earn there. If I go there and work there, then I want to work there. And then I also see a benefit in a way for myself, because maybe I can boulder for free then. How nice is that? First of all, I have to go regularly to the boulder hall, and then I can boulder. I mean, that's the whole point, right? You just want to do what makes you feel good. What helps you to grow and be strong. Now, just sitting behind a desk and earning money doesn't do shit for you. But that's his choice. He could do any other job in the world. But he decides to be a salesman and lie to people about all kinds of things just so that they buy products and so he gets a higher... I don't know how that is called. Right? So that people say, oh wow, he's really good at this. Anyway, so what I would do, or what I did, and what I'm doing is that he said, I'm going to pay you an apartment, and I said, okay, go ahead. It's your choice, your offering, I'm accepting. And now I'm in this apartment, and he comes and says, I already have a kitchen for you. Just say the word, and we will put it in your apartment right away. And I say, I don't want it. He said, oh yeah, but it's a really nice kitchen, you can have it. I say, I don't want it. I want to build my own kitchen. I want to do it DIY. I want to do it like rustique, if that's the word, right? Like I want to take a bar and then place it there and then put it up. That's how I want to do it. That's how I like doing things, by myself. Because I know when my father would be in charge of doing this here, it would be how it has been most of my life. He would buy the kitchen and then he would force me to join him, and then in a ridiculous speed and stress, we would carry all this stuff. Within 1 or 2 hours, we would carry it up here, we would put it all on the walls, and then it would be done. I always hated working like this. I want to take my time. And if it takes half a year for me to have a kitchen, then it takes half a year for me to have a kitchen. But at least I took my sweet time. And then I can do it exactly how I want to do it. Because what am I even stressing about? Right? I don't have a TV. I don't really watch movies anymore. So... what else am I supposed to do when I get back home in the evenings, I think about how do I want my apartment to be, right? And then you find solutions. And that's all there is to it, right? You find solutions and then you implement them, right? Sometimes I still need to ask for help because maybe I don't know how this or that works, but in the end, I'm the one doing it. And I really don't like this, people doing stuff for you all the time because they think they can do it so much better. Or they feel like they actually want to do something else, right? They want an excuse to get away from their job because they don't know what else to do. You know, I once said to him, why don't you just buy steel or why don't you refurbish knives? What would I do that for? Is a kind of an answer he might have given me. But what he said was, I think he doesn't know how to do it or something. So he's insecure about everything. But he also doesn't want to change that. Right? Or they're trying, but it doesn't really work. Because they just live in fear. And I manage to, in certain ways, outgrow it. Which is I consciously see what scares me. And that means my fear doesn't chase me around anymore. I see my fear trying to do it. And all I do is I just stand there and say, all right, so how do I engage with this now? I make a choice and then I act upon it. So what I said was I don't want the kitchen. He asked it again the next day and I said I already said no. Yeah, all right. And then he had to let go of it. And now I'm just building my own thing. And there was just a really nice realization that I had because I have a bucket and I have a sink and I have a toilet. And I was washing my hands and there was a problem because I don't have a kitchen at the moment, which means I have to do the dishes in the sink in the bathroom. And I had it now once already that if you then clean fatty things in there, you know, it all gets stuck at one point. And then you have to pour hot water in there, and that's a really stupid solution. And then I thought, why don't I just take the siphon from the sink away and just put the bucket underneath? And that means when I wash my hands, or wash my face, or wash the dishes, I just catch the water in the bucket, and then I use that water to flush the toilet. I mean, isn't that kind of nice? Because how stupid are people? I mean, we talk about we don't have enough water, but what are we doing then? Because water also costs money. You wash your hands in the sink, and the water from the sink flows into the same pipe as the water from the toilet, I believe, right? And then you flush the toilet. It's like, it's twice the amount of water, maybe even more. Why don't I catch the water from the sink and flush the toilet with it? It makes a lot of sense. And the first time I picked up on this was in South Africa, where I was living via couch surfing with an elderly couple. And because South Africa has very little rain at the moment, I'm not sure if it's still like this, I assume it does. You know, it goes so far that they said you're only allowed to shower for 30 seconds or something, or not more than 2 minutes. You know, I don't really remember the number. And they said, right, when you pee, you shouldn't flush at all, and you should shower with a bucket so that you can save the water. I mean, that is very, very sensible. And what do we do here? We just let the water run, right, until it's hot. You know how we did in South Africa then? You showered and you waited till the water... No, you didn't wait. You just went under, and when it was cold, it was cold. So instead of just wasting all the water, it would be much better to just save it, even if it's just for the sake of saving money on it. Right? It's like, why do you have to have a new phone all the time? Why can't you just buy one and use it until it's gone? Right? Until it really doesn't work anymore? And when it really doesn't work anymore, then you're gonna get another one. But you don't have to have the newest, most expensive one. You simply get one that works. Because all a phone has to do is, right, maybe you need some apps, right? You don't really need it to play super fast games or take amazing pictures or something. I mean, it's a phone. It's supposed to be to stay in contact with people and not to stand around like a zombie in the streets. Because the more time you spend with your phone, the less time you will spend doing things. And now I have my own apartment, I can do these things. While I was living with the people who think they're my parents, I'm really gonna stick with this. Because it's gonna put the right amount of distance between us. I said that already, I'm gonna say it over and over again. You know, it's not about I wanna hate them, it's just what I think parents should be is not really what they were. Right? They were just using me to make themselves feel better, and that is what I think is the truth, right? Alright, so DIY means you take care. You pay attention to how you feel, and then you make choices accordingly. So you quiet down, right? You take some time off from all these electronics. Sometimes you just sit down, right? Just cross-legged, or maybe you can do the lotus seat, or maybe you just lie down on a mattress comfortably and you cover yourself with a blanket and you place your hands on your stomach, or maybe one on your chest, the left on your chest and the right on your stomach, and you just hold yourself and you just see how you feel. How do I feel inside of me? You know, what kind of emotions are there? And what can I do to grow as a spiritual being, but also, you know, in terms of physical strength? Because it's all the same, right? If you're doing bad emotionally, it reflects on your physical health. But also if your physical health is very bad, it reflects on your emotional health. Because if I constantly have an aching back, then that's gonna ruin my day, or has the potential, because it's gonna make everything really hard. So when we see my body as my temple, then I have to make sure that the temple is also sturdy, that it is strong. So I stand a lot, I squat a lot, I do my exercises. Maybe I could do them more, but I'm still finding my own pace, right? So, you know, once in a while I just do these things, like simple Qigong exercises. Yeah, I'm still working towards doing breath holds, because that to me is kind of a challenge. And sometimes I just lie down and let it all sink in. So DIY is about how do I want my life to be? You know, it's not just about making hats or lamps, or your own kitchen. Is also about take care of your body, take care of your mind. Right? If every woman you see, you just imagine her naked, yeah, I mean, that just means you're really horny. So you have to find an outlet for that kind of energy. So what are you gonna do? Right? I mean, the whole internet is full with suggestions. But what I did, I looked back into my life and I said, what did I actually like? I like hiking to a certain degree, but what I really like is climbing and bouldering. And what I really like is moving in general. So I also would like to have a job that allows me to be active. And, you know, that's all there is to it. Do it yourself.